So today we will look into this profound topic of Mother's symbol and what it represents. If we start from the very beginning, this is the Mother's symbol. You can see 12 different colors and 4 different sections within, and the central part of it. So the central circle represents the divine consciousness. The 4 petals represent the 4 powers of the Mother. These are the 4 petals. And the 12 petals represent the 12 powers of the Mother manifested for her work. So here we are. This is the division on the 3 different sections. So the central part is the divine, the 4 petals, 4 powers of the Mother, 4 Shaktis, 4 Mahashaktis, and 12 qualities. 12 petals, 12 different colors of the Mother manifested for her work. These qualities are necessary to manifest those 4 Mahashaktis in the world. We are moving to the next slide. So this is the text which explains 4 petals. So one is her personality of calm wideness and comprehending wisdom and tranquil benignity and inexhaustible compassion and sovereign and surpassing majesty and all-ruling greatness. This is Maheshwari here. She is located in the south. Mahakali is opposite. Another embodies her power of splendid strength and irresistible passion, her warrior mood, her overwhelming will, her impetus, swiftness, and world-shaking force. So if one is calm and vast, the other is strong and powerful. So this is into the opposite to the north. Mahalakshmi, a third, is vivid and sweet and wonderful, with her deep secret of beauty and harmony and fine rhythm, her intricate, subtle opulence, her compelling attraction and captivating grace. And we can see she is to the east, yeah, if you're looking at it. And Mahasaraswati. Mahasaraswati, the fourth, is equipped with her close and profound capacity of intimate knowledge and careful, flawless work and quiet and exact perfection in all things. So if we look at these 4 petals, we could see that that they actually cover all our major qualities which we need, or major engagements in this world. Yeah, we can be engaged as a man of knowledge, as a man of power, as the man of delight and exchange of that delight, and a man of service. So we could see that all of them are actually covering all possible relations in this world. And in this society, they are known as 4 varnas in India. And these 4 varnas are available in every society as we know it. Only they were never defined so clearly as it was in Indian culture. So these 4 Mahashaktis, if you look at them in Indian tradition, we could see them in these beautiful, pictures, as Maheshwari is always withdrawn to Himalayas. She is the goddess who is always on the Nandi bull, the bull of Shiva, because she represents Shiva, basically, that vastness, withdrawn, high altitude of our existence, vastness of the divine being. Mahakali is the strength, the power, which removes all the obstacles which are standing in the way and preventing us to reach the divine. She is fierce and powerful and merciless to all the enemies of the divine. And Mahalakshmi, who is totally different from Mahakali, she is bringing the sense of bliss and enjoyment and harmony and wealth and riches. In India, she is known as the goddess of riches, but she is more the goddess of harmony and bliss. And riches are the consequence of this harmony and bliss. And Mahasaraswati, who is always with her Veena, she is the goddess of skills and knowledge of skills. She brings all the elements of technology. In India, it's known as the goddess of technology and technique, and all the cars um, and motorbikes are always decorated. When Mahasaraswati's days there, they put flowers on their cars because she's working out the details of manifestation and works out all those details to the minutest perfection. So these are the four major powers known in India. And of course, they represent, Maheshwari represents Sat, the divine being, where consciousness views the divine being. Mahakali represents the power of that Chit Shakti, Chit Tapas, that tapas element of consciousness, which brings the element of the being into the powerful formation. It creates a form out of the being. It allows the contact with the divine. And Mahalakshmi is representing Ananda. So we have Sat, Chit, Ananda, and Vijnana accordingly. Whereas Mahasaraswati represents the supermind, supramental manifestation of all the details in this manifestation. I just wanted you to see that it's not only these kind of new goddesses, these are the ancient goddesses of India who are mentioned in the symbol of the mother, who represent these four petals. So the 12 petals represent the 12 powers. Now we are coming to the 12 powers of the mother manifested for her work. So they are needed for her work in this manifestation. It's quite interesting, the perspective. They are very practical. They are not here for some religious worship and admiration. They are here for practical purposes. So everything begins with sincerity. Without sincerity, nothing can be done. Sincerity begins and ends the whole movement of our discovery. Here is sincerity, Maheshwari, that power of the blue color we can see. So the first 8 qualities are towards the divine, says the mother. So these are first 8: sincerity, humility, gratitude, perseverance, aspiration, receptivity, progress, and courage. And the last 4, goodness, generosity, equality, and peace, are towards humanity. So all these 12 qualities are necessary for the manifestation of these 4 mother's powers. And basically, when they are 4 manifested, we have a complete integral manifestation of the being, because then we have the capacity in knowledge, power, delight, and service. We manifest all our possible engagements in the world. So here, just general introduction to the symbol. And now we come to more detailed view on it. So what I wanted to mention here is that in Auroville, the whole Matrimandir is built in accordance to this vision. Matrimandir has 4 major pillars on which Matrimandir stands and 12 petals around. I just chose few samples here for you to see. You can see how it is being arranged. So this is Matrimandir, and there are these 12 petals here around, you know, in the same manner as it is with the symbol. And then there are bigger gardens around, you know. But the whole idea of Matrimandira is the mother symbol. Here you can see the entry to Mahasaraswati entry. So to the east we have Mahalakshmi, the same as in the symbol. To the west we have Mahasaraswati, to the north Mahakali, and to the south Maheshwari. So there are 4 entrances to Matrimandir, and around there are 12 petals, meditation petals. And here I gave some examples to see from within. Here is the petal of sincerity. You see blue color, and this is courage, red color. So in each petal, when you come in, you will have that color surrounding you, where you can meditate upon this particular quality. So Matrimandir is built in such a way that the ray of light falls from the top onto the crystal. This is the crystal inside. And from the crystal, light spreads in the meditation room, in the central room, and goes through the whole Matrimandir down to the bottom. And this is the ray from the top going through the crystal, comes to the bottom. And at the bottom, we have another crystal, smaller one, which receives the light. And we have these white 1,000 petals lotus at the bottom, which is purified subconscious being or inconscient being, which is totally purified, manifesting the divine. So this is the symbol of total purification of our existence. And around there are 12 petals. You can go and meditate in every petal. If you lack some courage or some other quality, sincerity or gratitude, you go into that petal and meditate, asking, calling to the divine to help you to manifest this quality in your life. It's amazing that we have such a structure ever in the world. And here, what I wanted to go through with you is one by one through these major life principles or qualities or verities, we call them by different names. Sri Aurobindo calls them also eternal dharmas, dharmas which exist eternally and manifest the whole world. These are the powers of manifestation of the truth. So first is sincerity, as we already read. Everything starts with sincerity. Do you know what perfect sincerity is, says the mother? Never to try to deceive oneself. Never let any part of the being try to find out a way to convincing the others. Never to explain favorably what one does in order to have an excuse for what one wants to do. Never to close one's eyes when something is unpleasant. Never to let anything pass, telling oneself this is not important, next time it will be better. Oh, it is very difficult. Just try for 1 hour and you will see how very difficult it is. Only 1 hour to be totally, absolutely sincere, to let nothing pass. That is all one does, all one feels, all one thinks, all one wants is exclusively the divine. This is the perfect sincerity. What struck me here is that never to try to deceive oneself, this I can understand, but never let any part of the being try to find out a way to convincing the others. Never to explain favorably what one does in order to have an excuse for what one wants to do. This is something difficult because we always justify our our behavior, that we did this because we want to do that. We are doing in this way because we want to attain to something else. We always favorably explain our behavior. We are always defensive in whatever we do. We meant good, we say. It turned to be wrong, but we meant good. Why it turned to be wrong, we don't want to see. We meant this to be good, and that's how all the difficulties come. So how to really clean up this kind of behavior, how to really become totally sincere and to view whatever you do in its own pure, simple way as it is, not as a cause to something else, but as it is. And that is the quality we lack. These last few days, says the mother, I had an opportunity to work on the proportion between the expression and the fact. Let me explain. First, you have the experience, then comes the expression of that experience. And the proportion between the divine simplicity of the experience and the realizing power of the expression is what gives the measure of perfect sincerity. The ratio between the two must be perfectly true. I saw in that almost a key to assess sincerity. So the relation of the inner experience in its divine simplicity, not as your experience, whatever it may be, but there is a divine prototype in it. There is a truth behind it. With the form or with the power of expression. And if it is well balanced, if it is purely linked, then the sincerity is manifested. So what we truly are, we have to be what we are within. In its divine simplicity, we have to reveal our truth, inner truth. And that expression of the truth is to be well balanced with the truth of our inner being. If it is not well balanced, if it is exaggerated, if I'm presenting more than I am, then I'm insincere. If I present less than I am, I'm again insincere. I want to manipulate the situation. I'm constantly manipulating things because I am never totally authentic or adequate to my inner being. And this inadequacy is actually what creates all the problems. I'm always dreaming about something. I want to be something which I am not. And that leads me away from sincerity. It's quite a beautiful quotation. We discovered it with Radha recently, and we discussed about it, how sincerity can be assessed. This is the assessment of sincerity. Are you really authentic? Are you really true to yourself, to your inner self? And if we don't know ourselves, how can we be true? So here is the problem. The next quality is humility. True humility consists in knowing that the supreme consciousness and the supreme will alone exists, and that the I is not. So I, with my narrowed down consciousness and perception of myself and my problems, is not. I am just the means, or the transitional being who is constantly changing and growing and allowing the supreme consciousness and will to manifest. If I see it, if I know it, I become humble. This is the true humility. There is a beautiful quotation by the mother where she describes that the divine is absolutely humble. Look at the divine. It is omnipresent, omnipowerful, omnipotent, and it allows everybody, everything, every creature he manifested to be itself and to slowly grow and to become the divine. It never imposes its power. It allows everything to grow into consciousness. And this is a perfect humility. To be humble means for the mind, the vital, and the body never to forget that without the divine, they know nothing, are nothing, and can do nothing. Without the divine, they are nothing but ignorance, chaos, and impotence. The divine alone is truth, life, power, love, felicity. And it connects us to the sincerity. In the sincerity, we have to express adequately what is inwardly in us, the divine truth in us. This adequate expression, a balanced expression, actually creates the true world. And that inner being perceived by us, we understand that that inner being is to be expressed, is creating a humility. We understand that we are moving from within to without, and not from without to within. That without, when we try to manage everything outside, it is not really true. Our management outside, by the means of outside, if it is not correlated with the truth, the inner, authentic truth of ourselves, has no meaning. It's just a chaos and impotence and ignorance. And sooner or later it will reveal itself. The next quality is gratitude. And it is again linked to the first two. A loving recognition of the grace received from the divine, a humble recognition of all that the divine has done and is doing for you. It's very important, not what it has done only, but is doing now and will do in the future. This recognition is the gratitude. The spontaneous feeling of obligation to the divine, which makes you do your best to become less unworthy of what the divine is doing for you. To become less unworthy. It's beautiful, yes. Not to be more worthy, to become less unworthy of what the divine is doing for you. Because if we realize what divine is doing for us, we would be totally grateful. It's constantly taking care of us, constantly allowing us to grow deeper and deeper into this divine truth and discover the divine origin of ourselves. And that creates this unconditional love towards the divine. And it is not because the divine did something, it is because the divine is. It's unconditional. Yes? It is constantly creating within us the better and better being. So these three are connected. You could see how beautifully they are connected. Sincerity is the adequate expression of the inner being outside. The humility is recognition of the necessity of the inner expression outside. And gratitude is the love for that inner being expressed outside constantly in our life. We can see how all of them are connected to one movement of consciousness. Now, the next quality is perseverance. It is this light green. If gratitude was proper green color, which corresponds to all greenery, Mother, somewhere she speaks, if you look at this greenery around us, all the grass and trees and bushes, this is the expression of gratitude in a way in nature. So this is light green, closer to the yellow, perseverance. It is by persevering that one conquers difficulties. not by running away from them. One who perseveres is sure to triumph. Victory goes to the most enduring. Always do your best, and the Lord will take care of the results. So what is persevering actually? Persevering is actually holding on to those three, recognizing the balance between the inner and outer, inner truth and outer expression. It is first. Recognizing the necessity of the inner being to be manifested constantly in your life, humility. Recognizing the divine as the doer of all things through his grace in our life. This is gratitude, and persevering, holding on to these and continuing to see it and to be grateful to the divine and to be humble in your life because the divine is in charge of your life is perseverance within this context. No? So holding on to it is this perseverance. And if one is really concentrating and holding to what one does, one is always arriving at the victory. Victory goes to the most enduring ones. So if these four are maintained, there will be a shift in quality. And the shift in quality is the aspiration. The aspiration is the fire lit, somewhere Mother says, by the divine in your heart. To seek for the divine, to seek actively within yourself the divine expression. True aspiration is not a movement of the mind, but of the psychic, the soul in us. It is to the sincerity of your aspiration that the love answers spontaneously. Sincerity of your aspiration. So you can see that sincerity is in every of these qualities. It is present everywhere. This is the correspondence of the inner truth with the power of outer expression. Let your aspiration leap forward, pure and straight, towards the supreme consciousness, which is all joy and all beatitude. Beyond words, above thoughts, the flame of an intense aspiration must always burn, steady and bright. So aspiration is something which is beyond words, above thoughts. It is not generated by talking or thinking. It is the fire, the thirst for the truth, the thirst which is kindled in us as a divine will in the Rig Veda, and the fire which is always burning, rising towards heaven, seeking their heavenly expression in our being. So once this aspiration is lit, and aspiration is this golden or yellow color, so perseverance and aspiration are the major two qualities of the Mahalakshmi, this devotion within the heart towards the divine. And they lead us to receptivity. It is with the widening of consciousness and the one-pointedness of the aspiration that the receptivity increases. It's a very interesting statement. Widening of the consciousness and the one-pointedness of the aspiration. When aspiration is one-pointed, only towards the divine, towards the truth. Somewhere there is a beautiful passage where Mother speaks that we have to only become this flame of aspiration and nothing else. More and more, rising higher and higher in us. Forget about everything. Forget about what you want, what is right, what is not right. Forget about others, forget about yourself, forget about the world. Just concentrate on this flame within yourself and let it rise you higher, higher and higher. And this is the aspiration, one-pointedness of aspiration. And at the same time, the widening of consciousness. These create receptivity, the receptivity of the divine. We can see the divine everywhere, not only in ourselves, in all the events, in others. We become receptive, we become sensitive towards the divine presence everywhere. Surely you are trying more or less consciously to draw the forces and divine love towards you. The method is bad. Give yourself without calculating, without expecting anything in return, and then you will become capable of receiving. In other passage, Mother mentions that receptivity, receiving of the divine grace, when we aspire for the divine, we receive the answer, the grace descends, answers to us, and we are not capable to receive it. When the grace is answering, we are not using it for what it came. We were aspiring for something, and when the grace answers, we are not using it for the same purpose. It is as if we receive funds for the project and we use these funds for another project. So we are not really applying grace to the same what we were aspiring in the first place. We were calling to resolve the difficulty, and when we receive this bliss from above, we just enjoy it without really applying this force to change our being. This happens very often. So this receptivity is some kind of an important issue. We must be responsible to receive the grace, to receive and to use this force for the purpose we were calling it for, and not for any other purpose, and not for self-enjoyment and self-aggrandizing and so on, which sometimes happens. This is a great point here for the receptivity, to receive and to use the grace and the force for the purpose we were calling it for. And that leads to progress. Progress is exactly that path, that change, gradual change, step by step, in time. It's like walking the path. We can see the path as it is described in the Rig Veda beautifully. When the dawn comes, the dawn is illumining the path, and we will see the road leading from one sacrificial pole to another sacrificial stamba, to another. We can see the spots where we will have to make the offering, where the offering is accepted and we have to proceed and make another offering. So we grow by these steps, and this is the progress. To see the path, to see the development of our inner being. Try to enjoy doing everything you do, says the Mother. When you are interested in what you do, you enjoy doing it. And that enjoyment of doing it is very important, because it brings this light of knowledge, right connection with the inner being. To be interested in what you do, you must try to do it better and better. In progress lies true joy. This is also very beautiful. Whenever we progress, you notice this, yeah, we are happy. Whenever there is a shift, a change, a growth of consciousness, every time it brings this true happiness. It's not the happiness of the consumer who consumes products and enjoys himself. It is totally different. It is this intensity of the effort which is changing our own consciousness, which brings real, true joy. And to really progress, to walk the path, we need a courage. Courage to face our obstacles, our shortcomings, our difficulties, our indulgences, preferences. We have to be able to have a power to remove them from the path. Courage is a sign of soul's nobility, says the mother. This is the central power of Kshatriya, of the royal one, who can give his life as Karna gave his life to just freely, fully generous. Yeah, we will come to generosity in a minute. But courage must be calm and master of itself, generous and benevolent. In true courage, there is no impatience and no rashness. Never mistake rashness for courage, no indifference for patience. A noblest courage is to recognize one's faults. We must recognize our shortcomings, our faults, and remove them from the path. There is no greater courage than to be always truthful. And to be truthful is to be sincere, to always see the connection of the inner being with the outer expression. To be always authentic, to be always true to our inner self. Have the courage to be completely frank with the divine. This is what really lacks in our nature. Many sadhaks in the ashram mentioned this. Whenever they came to the mother, they always tried to hide their shortcomings and faults because they wanted to be seen good in the mother's eyes. They wanted to be the best of themselves. And they were always hiding their dark sides, their desires, their preferences, their indulgences, weaknesses. They were bringing only the best of themselves to her. And mother says that, the best sadhaks, the true ones, are those who bring those darker sides to me. They give them to me, their weaknesses, desires for transformation. So we have to be totally, completely frank with the divine. We don't need to hide anything. We have to sincerely bring all these shortcomings and remove them from our path. This is courage. We need courage for that. So these were qualities towards the divine, and then there are 4 qualities towards humanity. So if we come to these qualities towards humanity, why Mother separated the qualities towards the divine and towards humanity? You will see here immediately that goodness, the goodwill, she speaks about goodwill as goodness. She even said for Aurovilians that all people of goodwill are welcome to become Aurovilians. There is no other quality needed, only a goodwill. And what goodwill means, it means that you are always finding in everyone, in everyone's action, in everyone's activity or being, something good, something true, which wants to express itself, only doesn't know how to do it. And you support that point. Instead of criticizing the wrong one, you support the truth within each being. And that will help the being to separate the truth from untrue, yeah? And to remove all those obstacles by himself. You don't need to do it. You don't need to criticize the person. It doesn't help. You better support the truth in him. So indeed, the goodwill hidden in all things reveals itself everywhere to the one who carries goodwill in his consciousness. This is very important. The one who has this goodwill would see the goodwill in everyone. It is only the one who doesn't have it, cannot see it in others. That's why she said all people of goodwill are welcome to our will. One should keep goodwill and love constantly in his heart and let them pour out upon all with tranquility and with equanimity. This is the goodness. Goodwill for all and goodwill from all is the basis of peace and harmony. So this goodwill is essential to relate to others. And it leads us to the next quality, generosity. I found this quotation recently and I was struck by it. Generosity is to find one's own satisfaction in the satisfaction of others. Such a simple and true definition. Generosity is to find one's own satisfaction in the satisfaction of others. When you are happy for others, that they are developing, that they got new means, new qualities, they got food, they got light, they got money, and you are happy for this. You're really happy for them. This is generosity. What truth is found behind generosity? It is the movement of the spreading forces. But in order that these forces may spread, they must first become concentrated. So there is a sort of movement of pulsation. The forces are concentrated, and then they are spread, and then they are again concentrated, and again spread. You cannot spread something you don't have. You have to accumulate the force. You cannot be generous in money if you don't have money. You cannot be generous in knowledge if you don't have knowledge. You cannot be generous in something you don't have. You must accumulate it in order to spread it, to put it into action. And this is generosity. It should not be mistaken by just giving away everything. It's not generosity. Generosity is constantly generating and spreading the inequalities, the inner values, or the wealth. The wealth has to be accumulated in order for it to be spread. This has to be understood. And generosity, not only in the outer means, but also in knowledge, in emotions, feelings. It's also to be generous. To be generous, to listen to someone who wants to communicate something to you, to share with you his life, to be generous in listening, to be generous in speaking, to be generous in thinking. One has to learn to be generous, to spread the force, the truth in the world. And it's again the quality towards humanity. And that leads us to equality, because equality or equanimity is essential. One should not make the difference between these and those beings. The truth is to be spread for all. The more a person is quiet in front of all occurrences, equal in all circumstances, and keeps a perfect mastery of himself and remains peaceful in the presence of whatever happens, the more he has progressed towards the goal. This is the quotation for equality and equanimity. In the prayers and meditations, Mother receives the message from the divine. The voice comes to her and tells her, whatever you do in your life, there will be many turmoils you will meet on the path. You will have to promise me to keep only one quality, that is equality. You have to be always equal to whatever happens. Keep the equality. And I was wondering about this message because if you think deeply what it really means to be constantly equal to whatever happens to you or others, it is the requirement to see what is really truly happening. Because if we are engaged, if we are involved, as it were, emotionally and otherwise dogmatically, we may not see what is truly happening. we do not see the true measurement of things. We would not see the divine behind every event, every person, every being. We don't see it otherwise. We consider these to be enemies and these to be friends, and we are fighting against the enemies. We do not see them as the divine event. But to see truly what is happening, we need this equality. It establishes this profound and necessary peace and quietude in our mind, which leads us to the last quality, peace. The peace must be immense, says the mother. The quietness, deep and still, the calm, unshakable, and the trust in the divine ever increasing. It is only in tranquility and peace that one can know what is the best thing to do. That's what I was just mentioning. In tranquility and peace, that one can know what is the best thing to do. If we try it out, we will see that it works. Every time there is a choice to choose which way to go, we need this profound peace and tranquility within ourselves. And then we will see what is going on. We have to have this disinterestedness, this equanimity to see things as they are, without our influence, without our preference. If you ask from within for peace, it will come. There is no greater peace than that of a pure mind. In peace and inner silence, you will more and more become conscious of the constant presence. It is in peace that knowledge and power are truly effective. So these are the 12 qualities of the mother. And we can see that all of them are absolutely necessary for us in this world. And these are the powers which manifest the worlds in their true and most effective way. All right, I will stop here. And now we have still 5-6 minutes. If you have some questions, observations, or some ideas, please go ahead. PM Radhe here sitting.
Yes. Okay, my question is, if can we feel a polarity between the manifestation of the divine from the south to the north, and even another polarity from the east to the east, to the east to the west?
Yeah.
Can I see this?
Yes, absolutely. I totally agree with you. He speaks about polarity, two polarities. If you look at the four powers, we can see that Maheshwari and Mahakali are polarity, and Mahalakshmi and Mahasaraswati are polarities. They're like two polarities. Yes, absolutely.
Nice. Thank you.
Yes, and that creates the whole complexity. And even in India, it's well known that Mahalakshmi and Mahasaraswati never stay in the same, under the same roof. Lakshmi and Saraswati do not live in the same house. Either you are following Saraswati or you are following Lakshmi. It's interesting. There's something to think of. Yeah, maybe Kiranji, maybe you have some ideas about this. Why Saraswati and Lakshmi are never staying in the same house.
So now things have been changed in India also. Both can stay together.
Both can stay together. Yeah.
Just fun. But I have one question here, and we discussed on day before yesterday about four soul forces, uh, and we talked about Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, and Shudra.
Mm-hmm.
So, can it be possible that in one person, if we can, define like wisdom, power, perfection, and harmony? Wisdom is, knowledge in one person. So that Brahmana Tattva, element of Brahmana,
Yeah.
Kshatriya, that is, power. So when the person is working,
Yeah.
uh, keeping all those soul forces in one person
Uh-huh.
becomes powerful, and you know can work by using these 12 core values and go further towards divinity.
Yes, yes. You're speaking about four varnas. We discussed this the other day, that there are four powers of the mothers. They actually the four divine varnas. Yeah, not the varnas which, as we know them, as jatis or castes. Caste system is just the projection or the embodiment in the social structures. But for varnas, for divine varnas, yes, the man of knowledge, the man of power, the man of delight and exchange of delight in the society, what we call Vaishya or Vish. Vish is actually people. People, because people constantly exchange the delight. Yeah, the delight is to be exchanged in the form of merchants, trading, money. Money is the power which is exchanging delight, allowing the flow of the happiness and delight. Yeah? And Mahasaraswati, who is the service, the pure service and support of somebody's vision or ideal, where you are ready to serve the ideal, which is also the divine quality, very high quality. Later it is translated in terms of hierarchy, like the man of knowledge on the top, but that is not really totally so. Of course, the knowledge distributes, comes to the power, power takes knowledge and embodies it into the delight, which is spread, and the delight is being supported by the service. So there is a hierarchy, but truly speaking, in the divine view, all these are indispensable for manifestation. None of them can be omitted or neglected or belittled. Yeah? Though they are in the hierarchy, I would say that the service embodies all three previous ones, so to say. The service is the most charged because it has to have the knowledge, it has to have the power, and it has to have the delight to be spread. Then you can really serve. So basically, the supermind, supramental power, holds Satchitananda within itself and puts it into manifestation.
So another question related to the same concept, that when we talk about wisdom, uh, uh, power, harmony, and perfection, is it like physical, vital, mental being? I mean, is it something going simultaneously, or it is something different? So for example, physical is like service and perfection, mental like knowledge, and vital is like harmony.
Yes, you are right, because these Satchitananda Vijnana is projected to these lower worlds, and you can see that, but it is in a different way, because the divine being becomes the matter, the physical, yes. But that's why the divine Shudra, as Sri Aurobindo speaks, is actually the supreme, because it embodies all the states. Yeah? It's unfortunately we are looking from the hierarchical kind of mental point of view, but if you look at it from that, yes, the physical is the service, the matter serves us here, the vital is more spreading the delight and the power. This is more the delight realm, yes, so to say, and the mental is the more the range of the ideal or ethical behavior, or that, so to say, vision or dogma or the truth which is put into the framework, which is mokshatriya power, following dharma, yeah? And beyond moksha, if you take all of these, yeah? The same, the four purusharthas follow this, yeah? You have the kama, artha, dharma, and moksha. In a way, this repetition of this fourfold division you can find in many forms, and you can see that they are resembling the same division, yeah, of these four great Mahashaktis. We even went to Sanskrit language, and if you compare to these major vowel letters, simple vowel letters, A, I, U, and Ri, and Sri Aurobindo describes them, you will have the same qualities. A is undifferentiated existence, without any specification, without any determination, but creative of the being and space. This is Maheshwari, A letter. E is intense, tending to occupy the goal, intensity, power. This is Mahakali, you immediately see. U is pervasive, holding the space. This is Mahalakshmi, exchange between the holding two opposites in one harmony. And the Ri letter is, working within the limit, drilling, kind of focusing, they focus to the minutest detail, perfectionist, the Mahasaraswati. You can see that it is throughout these are archetypes by which we think. We cannot avoid them. We don't have any other ways of thinking, actually. Even if I try to find something else, I will not find anything else beyond this.
This one, last one was amazing. Sanskrit vowels, they communicate. This is wonderful.
Yeah, and they correspond with 5 sthanas. The 5th is Li. Li is just 3, which is softer. But basically these levels of articulation, it's incredible. If you start comparing to the roots of Sanskrit language, you see that the meanings follow it even. And then Sanskrit language is viewed totally different.
Yeah, in Hatha Yoga, it has been described about this vowels, about that when they speak, it reaches from chakras. And yeah, that is it.
Wonderful. So shall we stop here, or would you like to say something that they would hear or something? No?
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you. Namaste. Yeah. See you, Sigrid. Nice to see you again. Yeah, namaste.